Welcome back to Farms and Frontlines, everybody. I'm your host, Max Terzano, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Jessica Rudo.
Hello.
Jess, you've had a little bit of free time lately.
Yes, school doesn't happen when the government shuts down, but that's okay. Getting ahead on my homework and my readings.
There you go. Nothing like quality
In my
shutdown
mind,
time.
yeah, in my mind, the semester's done, but
Well,
we'll see.
congratulations on a fantastic first semester.
Yeah, so it's all right. I mean, it is like the original end date was Halloween.
Hmm,
Uh, and then we were supposed to go into a 2-week period for research, like writing our thesis.
gotcha.
Uh, so we'll see what happens.
Now, I don't believe your thesis had anything to do with the origins of trick-or-treating,
But it could.
right?
I could somehow tie it to intelligence.
Right, I'm sure that would actually be fun. But since it is spooky season,
Yeah,
and there's almost
that's
nothing more spookier than a government shutdown, uh,
yeah.
we decided to look into kind of the origins of trick-or-treating and how it came about that we gave highly processed treats to children all across America. Was it some sort of dental conspiracy, or was there more to it?
Right? The cavities.
Right? Reese's peanut butter cups recommended by 10 out of 10 dentists.
Yeah, right. I have a random question.
Okay.
Did you ever go trick-or-treating?
I did once, but
Okay.
that was like in high school,
It's a
and
little
that
different
was
being a high school kid than a
yeah,
little
yeah,
kid.
no, that was it. You are very familiar with my parents.
Yes.
So we did not do the whole trick-or-treating thing. But yeah, so it wasn't really a big thing with my family. How about
Yeah,
I know you guys did because we
we
lived on the
did.
same block for quite some time.
We did. I remember your I don't know who, mom or dad, but would put a note on the door that said, "We don't do this, but you're welcome to come around for Thanksgiving if you want."
Yeah, neighborhood kids loved that. We were real
Yeah.
super popular around that time. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
We did
But
eventually start giving out candy,
oh
and
yeah.
I thought that was great because I was a fat kid who just liked to play Xbox. So I would sit there and just eat the candy and then give it to kids when they came by. And I was like, hey, this is wonderful. But yeah, so that was me, but
Yeah.
we dug into it and wanted to see, since last Halloween we did pumpkin spice and how that
Yep.
kind of came around. We wanted to see how trick-or-treating really became a thing. And so this is a bit of a departure from, national security and food security and stuff like that, but it's just one of
Yeah.
these kind of fun offshoot history lessons. And I think it was actually, if you don't know anything about the origins of Halloween, it's not Halloween, trick-or-treating, it's pretty cool. So I'm just going to jump right into it. If it goes all the way back to a
What is that?
festival,
Yeah.
Samhain was a festival of the dead and harvest's end. It was
Mhm.
celebrated October 31st to November 1st, so those like 2 days, marking the end of the harvest and the start of winter in Celtic tradition.
Yeah.
So, like, in the Celtic area of the world, they would celebrate the end of the harvest season and hopefully a successful harvest, and the transition to winter, which in that region, can be pretty tough. So what the Celts believed the boundary between the living and the dead weakened at this time, which would allow spirits to roam freely.
Hmm.
And families would leave out bread, fruits, portions of their harvest to appease spirits and ancestors, hoping to avoid misfortune, which is,
I mean, if
great,
somebody's gonna leave me alone if I leave them a piece of fruit, like,
right? Like,
all right, here you go.
hell, heck yeah. But the communities would gather for these big like bonfires and shared food, and it would kind of blend all these things with like the fear of these spirits, with their rituals and their celebration of the harvest season and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, the bonfire is a big deal. If that was another thought of like the fire, the light, like would
Hmm.
also like keep these spirits at bay.
And I mean, what's more fun in the autumn than a nice big bonfire, right?
Yeah, seriously.
It's great. I can smell it now.
I mean, maybe they had s'mores. Shit, maybe this is where s'mores start.
Right.
They're sharing food and telling ghost stories and stuff.
So this was how the Celts would do it, and unsurprisingly, it was kind of co-opted when the Catholic Church came about in
Mhm.
the like 8th to 10th century.
Yep.
They saw that, this was a big deal and something that they worship, but it was a pagan activity.
Yep.
So they couldn't have that super popular. So they overlaid it with their own like festivals and holidays. It was a
Okay.
3-day event composed of All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, and All Souls Day.
Okay.
So All Hallows Eve is the day before All Saints Day, obviously, and then All
Hmm.
Souls Day is the next day. And they kind of made it about being this sacred period where you honor the saints and you pray for departed souls in purgatory. So
Oh,
rather
okay.
than having like leaving out food for just meandering, aimless souls to leave you alone, it became this sort of thing where families would bake these little cakes that became known as soul cakes. And they were these round cakes with a little cross carved into them, and they would be given out to the poor and children who would come by and either sing or pray for the departed souls. And this would essentially get those souls a little bit closer to heaven, or like kind of move them up the queue out of purgatory, which sounds a bit ridiculous, but I mean, prior to that, they were just leaving their harvest out for meandering
Yeah.
souls. So, it worked.
Marge, add 4 soul cakes. You're now number 10.
Yeah, right, right. You can move up the line. Your family baked a lot.
Makes me think of like the Beetlejuice waiting room.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's like a DMV waiting to get to heaven. Like number 67, your family just sold 6 soul cakes. You got some good prayers in there.
A soul
But they
cake,
were,
though. What
yeah.
was a soul cake?
So the soul cakes were these like round spiced cakes,
Okay.
and they were offered to the poor and the children who come. And these people, these like Halloween carolers essentially, were
Yeah.
called solars, and the cakes were made with essentially like all of the like fall flavors that we know today, right? Like
It's
there was
basically pumpkin
nutmeg,
spice, right?
ginger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
basically like a pumpkin spice cake that they would bake.
And
And
ahead of their
they're like
time.
stone up. I know, right? Like I was gonna say, was the original baker named Starbuck by any chance? Like,
I wonder
um,
how big these spice cakes were. If you had to eat a whole bunch of them, or
I
these
can't
kids,
imagine
they
they
were
were that
probably they were
big.
usually starving, right? There's poor
Yeah, yeah, they
people
were like
doing this
poor
and
or
kids,
children and stuff like that. So I mean, like it's interesting
and they were
because
probably excited, right? They're excited for it because they get to eat this.
right, so they would
I'm
go
making
and
an
do their
assumption here.
prayer, and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you get essentially free food for just going and
yeah.
praying for the departed souls and getting them a little bit closer to heaven. So that would happen on All Hallows Eve was a night of like preparation and prayer, which was merging Christian theology with the older pagan folk practices. And then All Saints Day, the Catholic Church overlaid someone with All Hallows, shifting the focus to saints and departed souls, like we talked about. And All Souls Day was a day where everybody would be dedicated to praying for the souls in purgatory. Food became an offering not for wandering spirits, but for spiritual aid.
There
So
you go.
they kind of slyly shifted the focus. And I don't know, how it happened, but it was over a period of centuries, essentially. So
Yeah.
that they celebrated Hallowtide. And it must have been like a slow inkling, like, hey, you're leaving out this bread, but if you just bake some bread for these Halloween carolers,
Yeah.
any of your departed folks can get closer to heaven and stuff like that. So plus they also had to introduce Christian theology just as a whole. I'm sure they didn't just come in and were like, we're Christians and you're gonna pray for your souls now. Thanks. Bake me a cake.
Thank you for my service.
Bake me a cake. God wills it. So that was kind of the origin of that was essentially like the first like trick or treating, right? Like they came over and did something in return for something.
Yep. A
And
treat of
then
some kind, yeah.
then we get to the medieval times and medieval souling, and they stayed with the soul cakes. This just kept going. Like the medieval souling is what they would call it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't trick or treating; it was called souling. And
Carolyn. Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah.
yep, and they would go. Again, it was a continuation where the poor people and children would go door to door offering prayers for the household dead in exchange for a cake, which
Hmm.
sounds a little morbid, but it's what they did.
Yeah.
And like we said, each cake symbolically lifted a soul closer to heaven, which is a little wild. But what's interesting to me here is that food takes on the shape of like both a spiritual ritual, but also a form of social welfare in this
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
scenario. Like the poor were just getting food for doing I guess what would like you'd be happy to see these solars come, right?
Yeah.
Because it was like you're doing something for your ancestors or
Right.
your dearly departed, right? So all you had to do
Right.
is bake a little cake and that's you feel
Maybe
pretty
it's
good
also
about yourself.
helping with that stigma too, right? Like, because you're talking like 10th through 15th century, like they are class divided. So
Yes.
maybe
Hmm.
also working on breaking that stigma a little bit, or at least a time period where it didn't matter
Right, because like yes, you're
that
giving them
you
food, but
found
like
yourself in
if
the poorest part of, of society. Yeah.
mhm. Like if they didn't bother to come and do it, then your departed were not getting any closer to heaven in your eyes, right?
Right.
So it's like they're doing you this massive favor by coming and praying for
Yeah.
your departed. So it's interesting to me.
Yeah. I think it's, something that we can pull even from like the feeling of being excited, right? Like
Hmm.
when you're giving out candy, like you were saying, you're excited to do it. And then when you're
Hmm.
a kid, you're excited to get it. So
Right, right.
it's a different context now, but there are some things that we could tie to even these really old traditions.
Yeah. Now, by no means should you ask trick-or-treaters to say a prayer for your dearly departed this upcoming Halloween. I
No,
think you might
I
get
know, but
some
they'd be like,
angry
what?
letters by from parents.
Or maybe yeah, who knows? Maybe they're like,
Yeah,
I
might,
would, yeah. It's almost like, the potato experiment. Somebody puts a potato in their bucket of
oh
candy,
yeah.
and the kids always take the potato. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Okay,
maybe you'd be surprised.
thanks.
Yeah. One time, because I did trick-or-treating as a kid, and one
Mhm.
time I got a VHS tape for like a workout, like
Ah,
workout equipment. It was
what?
like a how-to VHS
I
tape for workout equipment.
was gonna say, was it like one of those cool like Nickelodeon orange VHS
No,
tapes or something? It was
no.
like
You
Richard
remember like
Simmons or something.
what was the like Chuck Norris used to like endorse it?
A Bowflex.
A Bowflex, that's what it was. It was a VHS tape for a Bowflex.
Awesome. Oh, somebody must have been like, yeah, I'm not using this. Here you go.
It's the most random, yeah. And another time I got a canned good, like
Hmm.
like green beans or something in a can. It
Hmm.
was really random, but I was too
Delightful.
busy to be like, I gotta go to the next house. I didn't
Yeah.
care. Register until
Yeah, I
later.
just gotta go. Jess, your bag is really heavy this year. Yeah, it's a green beans and a VHS tape.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So the next evolution of trick-or-treating was when the practice evolved into guising in Scotland and Ireland. Now, children would disguise themselves in costumes to confuse or scare off spirits, performing songs or jokes for food or coins. So this
Okay.
is
Yeah.
interesting because it goes further away from from Hallowtide
Yep.
and the religious side of it and kind of goes back to the pagan Samhain, right? Where it
So
was
yeah.
like appeasing the free spirits. And now they're saying, we have to disguise ourselves to confuse or scare off these spirits. So
Yep.
they're back, but instead of making them happy, we're gonna frighten them.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna, sing our songs and do our little jokes or whatever. Instead of praying for folks, we're just gonna entertain you for a minute, and then you're gonna give us coins or food. So
How do we
again,
feel about using kids to like deal with the spirits?
right? Like, I don't.
You
I'm thinking again,
go scare them off for me.
like Hollywood. There's like a haunted house, and they just throw in a kid in like a RoboCop costume or something. Ah,
Figure it out.
no, he's not allowed to leave. He has to stay here. The
Gets the
spirits come
kickback
back,
at
but they're
the end.
terrified of children in masks. So the religious overtone softened. Food was still exchanged, but it became tied to entertainment and community fun
Hmm.
in like Scotland and Ireland, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's important later because that's how it really comes to America with
Hmm.
Scottish and Irish immigrants. Alongside guising came the idea of tricks or pranks if food was not offered. So if you didn't give them a VHS tape for Bowflex, you risked being pranked.
Yep.
I can't imagine what a crazy prank was in like 18th, 17th century Ireland, but may have had to do with potatoes. I don't know.
I was gonna say snakes. Maybe they like whip out a fake snake or something.
There you go.
I'm sure they had rubber snakes back then.
Yeah, back in the 16th century, mass-produced dollar store snakes.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the direct ancestor of the trick in Trick or Treat, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Scottish and Irish immigrants brought guising and souling traditions to the United States in the 1800s. As you can imagine, early New England communities kind of resisted Halloween practices, as this is funny to me. It's either too Catholic or too pagan. So
Yeah.
Puritans couldn't decide whether it was too religious or not religious enough for them. But either
Either
way,
way,
they
they didn't like
didn't
it.
like it. Yeah, which kind of fits what I know of the Puritans to a T. They didn't care for much,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
building a nice house and living a respectable, quiet life. That
Period. That's it.
period, yes. On stolen land. That's all we do. And then, thanks to the Irish and Scottish immigrants, the practice survived. Despite
Mhm.
the Puritans naysaying and hemming and hawing, that it survived. They still had some fun. Early 20th centuries, we get Halloween parades, parties, and house to house visits becoming common in American towns. And if you've ever celebrated Halloween or trick or treated or didn't trick or treat like myself, you still know that you don't give out baked cakes or potatoes, and VHS tapes and green beans are frowned upon and not the typical gift that you give out to children.
Yeah.
Candy companies started stepping in by the mid 20th century with the rise of mass produced candy, food shifting from homemade cakes and apples and stuff like that, individually wrapped sweets. And I'll let you take it from here because this is where we get a little bit of that, like American ingenuity that we've talked about in the
Yeah.
past when it comes to food. And so that's just a little bit of history of how it went from starting and was a ancient Celtic festival called Samhain to the traditional trick or treating that we know in America today.
Yeah. So it's was not always fun. There's times when the pranks in the US went a little bananas.
Mm-hmm.
In the 30s, trick or treating was happening, but not on any kind of big scale or widely across the country. 1933, it's called Black Halloween because there's a lot of tension. It's Great Depression era.
Mm-hmm.
People are trying to be silly, but it went like over the top.
Mm-hmm.
There's like cars overturned, buildings set on fire. So there's kind of a negative connotation with Halloween and trick or treating and being like the pranks that happen on, what do you call it? So we used to
I
call
was
it
going to
Goosey
say
Night.
Goosey Night
Yeah,
because we're
Goosey
from
Night. Yeah.
northern New Jersey,
Yeah.
but I've heard it called many different things,
Mischief Night.
which
Yeah.
are all wrong. But there are different names for it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mischief
Mischief
Night,
Night. We called
Goosey
it Goosey
Night.
Night. Yeah.
Um,
Probably something else, but yeah.
there's definitely other names
It's
for it,
like
but
Taylor ham, egg, and cheese,
again,
like
like I said, they're
like,
all wrong.
come on. So there was like a negative connotation to that. But it take, a couple years go by, nobody cares for a little bit because the war kicks off.
That
There's not
tracks. Yep.
extra food to be giving out.
Right.
But at the end of World War II, um, a couple things happen. One, the sugar ration is lifted. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Sugar was one of the first staples to be rationed because I didn't know this, but a third of the sugar imports actually came from the Philippines. And
Hmm.
the Philippines at the beginning of the war were occupied by Japan.
Right. Yeah. No,
Yep.
that makes a lot of sense, but you don't think about that.
Yeah. So the sugar is one of the first things to be rationed. People needed to get a war ration book, and they would get like a way smaller fraction of sugar than they were used to having.
Right.
That ends in 1947. And that's when the commercialization of Halloween really picks up.
Mm.
The other thing to consider is that suburbs are new.
Mm-hmm.
After World War II, the VA loan, communities are being built, and what we think of today as a suburb is really coming out. It's because of this time period.
Right.
Baby boomer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Period. A lot of babies being born. Communities are now being set up in how you would see like a suburb. So you've got a lot
Right.
of houses in one area.
Like these new neighborhoods
Um,
just popping up.
yeah. And it starts, probably like the 50s and then early 40s. No, I'm sorry, late 40s, early 50s, and then into the 60s and keeps going. But these communities, these suburbs start like setting up little events for their area. They're handing out popcorn balls, like you were saying, they're handing out candied apples, you know, stuff like that.
Right.
But so 1947, the sugar ration ends.
We talked a little bit about in one of our previous episodes about how the candy companies
Yep,
like Hershey and Mars in particular got government subsidies for supplying troops with
that's
food.
right.
So they probably, I imagine they probably kept going after the war too, where they were able to kind of ramp up production and shift to something else.
Once they could get enough sugar back. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
And I'll talk in a minute about like some of the candies that we think of today and where they
Hmm.
kind of start from. Um, but in the 50s, another thing that is going on is marketing to the homemaker about how to make things easier, right?
Right. Hmm.
You see canned items again because of World War II and the canning that's being done, like reimagining how to use this technology and all this like leftover stuff that's from the war and the war effort.
Was that like a new
Campbell's.
thing for World
Mm-hmm.
War II, like canning?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, we can
Canned meat
store
was
these. Oh,
huge.
okay.
Yeah, that's yeah,
So like
yeah,
getting from here to there, they were like, we'll put it in a
correct.
can and it'll
Hmm.
last. And now you can have a can in your house.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, interesting.
So like a metal can, right?
Hmm.
Canning in like a mason jar and like boiling it in
Right, right,
water.
okay.
That had been done, but like canning on like a mass produced scale.
Right, like
Yep.
Campbell's or Chef Boyardee or something like that. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Chef Boyardee, the ready to go meals, that
Hmm.
kind of stuff is new for this time.
Cool.
Um, so right. So we've got all these things like kind of lining up. And the popularity of these like little events are growing. And so candy companies see this and think like, hey, well, what was going on were like homemade treats, like I was saying, like homemade cookies or these popcorn balls or whatever. The mom, typically the mom, probably I could probably almost say almost 100%.
Yeah.
The woman, the female, right, whoever's in the
Hmm.
house in the 50s is making these things. So the advertising is like, hey, mom, this is going to be easier for you and way cheaper if
Right.
you just buy these individually packaged candies. Um, Later, so I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but like in the 70s, this is like just sent home with like I'm wondering if they're all unsubstantiated, but there were a lot of unsubstantiated claims that like people were poisoning
Right.
unwrapped unwrapped candies. They were putting like needles in them, razor
Hmm.
blades in your candy bars. Like
I
you
mean, I
can't eat
remember.
something that doesn't have a wrapper on it.
Hmm. I remember hearing about
So
that even as a kid. Like,
yeah, yeah.
beware, there's razor blades in your chocolate.
It still
Yeah.
happens. So I'm sure that there are things that actually happen, but I'm curious when it first popped off, kind
Hmm.
of like like crack babies didn't actually exist. Like all we
Right.
remember about the 90s are like crack babies. I'm wondering if the 70s it was just like fear mongering, but not
Hmm.
actually really happening. I don't know. I have to look more into that, but like um initially what I've seen so far, it's like maybe it didn't actually ever happen in the 70s.
Right. Right.
So anywho, that's how we're getting to like individually wrapped, you know, packaged candies.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
We're getting
Gotcha.
there because hey, this is going to be cheaper for you, easier for you. Just come and pick it up. It's ready to go.
Hmm.
So, but the other thing that I wanted to point out, so again, in the 50s, um, credit to the popularity of trick-or-treating actually goes to like comics and cartoons. Um, Peanuts, do you remember Peanuts?
Yeah, with
The comic
Snoopy
strip?
and Woodstock in the
Yep,
game.
Snoopy, yeah.
Was it Chuck
They ran,
Schultz?
yeah, Charles Schultz, yep.
Yeah.
They ran Halloween themed like a comic strip for a
Hmm.
couple years in a row on these 3 days that you were saying earlier, right?
Hmm. The Great Pumpkin.
Yeah, that's right. So he first starts it by like drawing everybody in a ghost costume. They have Charlie Brown as like the model for the jack-o'-lantern carving. And then the following year, so that was 1951, 52, Disney came out with a Donald Duck like short and it went over it was basically like a how-to trick or treat, like going to somebody's door dressed up, trick or treat. That's where that comes from.
Really? I'm gonna have
Yep.
to like watch that.
Yeah. And then it was like a witch watching the kids dressed up because she was like, oh gosh. And you could watch the kids go each door to door and get the candy. Um, so this really helps ramp up the popularity of trick-or-treating as we know it today.
Hmm.
So some of the candies that are popular today are old.
Yeah, no, I mean that's
So
pretty cool.
we talked about Hershey Kisses.
Hmm.
And again, like you had mentioned, they were able to keep going after World War II, like through World War II. Um, Hershey is remembered, Hershey is successful because he could mass produce.
Right.
One of the things mass produced were Hershey Kisses. They
Hmm.
actually were introduced in 1907, but today they make like, I think 30 million a day, something like
That's
some
insane.
insane number. Yeah.
I mean, I
But
guess it makes
they
sense now with the
crank out Hershey
wild.
Kisses. Right. And they made a whole town around this candy company.
Hmm. And the
Somebody
theme
that
park.
worked with him was called Harry Reese.
Hmm.
He had 16 kids.
Jeebus.
He started working, he moved to Hershey, the town, in 1917 so that he could work for the company.
Hmm.
He was a dairyman, and then later he worked in the factory. He was so inspired by Hershey and how he did stuff that he started his own little chocolate company in his basement. And then later leaves. I think he's actually fired,
Hmm.
and starts his own. He has a random mold that's a cup, puts chocolate on the bottom, Hershey chocolate, peanut butter in the middle, and then chocolate on the top. And
Hmm.
the Reese's peanut butter cup is born. During World War II, everything else, like he made a bunch of other random things like coconut and molasses and random
Just whatever he
junk.
could get his hands on. Yeah.
He tried to make one thing for each of his kids. He was trying to make like a candy bar or some kind of candy to name after
Like
each of his kids.
based after, well, he's a
Yeah.
little ambitious there with 16 children.
Yeah. But he has to like cancel all that and he just has to focus on the peanut butter cup. He originally sold the peanut butter cup for a penny. It's called a penny cup.
Hmm.
It helped people get through like the Great Depression time because they could
Hmm.
afford it.
Right.
And I went down a random hole, like a random rabbit hole of
Hmm.
peanut butter, and not even just like peanut butter in general, like smooth peanut butter, creamy peanut butter has its own little like crazy history. Um, but Reese's Candy Company, his sons sell it to Hershey in 1963 for $23.5 million.
Wow. And 63,
Yeah,
$23 million. It's,
yeah.
I would like that amount of money today. So if
Gotta
anybody's
sell your
listening and
candy
wants to
company,
buy
yeah.
a podcast with 7 listeners, hit me up.
I can hear your mom like, no, don't sell out. Do you want to hear about peanut butter? Or you want me to keep going?
I'm always down to hear about peanut butter. My dogs just walked into the room. They're very interested.
Peanut butter.
Go on.
So again, more specific. I like not George Washington Carver beginnings of peanut butter, but like creamy peanut butter where it's like shelf stable and the oil doesn't come out.
Hmm.
Is first made in the 1920s in California.
Hmm.
It's marketed to high society. Like if you had peanut butter back then, you
I thought
were
you said
rich.
pie society.
Pie, yeah. Pie in the sky.
Really? So if you had peanut butter,
Yeah,
you're
you were
a
well
wealthy
off.
person.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like
Okay.
a similar to like the avocado starts. It was like a status symbol. You've got peanut butter, you can afford things. You're doing all right. The market becomes so saturated that they had to open it up to somebody else. Like there was such a demand, or they were filling the demand at the highest levels.
Hmm.
So they put sugar in it and started marketing it to kids.
Like anything, right?
Yeah.
Throw some sugar in it, give it to kids.
And then it was like, hey, this could be like a protein alternative. And it can sit in your closet for forever. So
Right.
something you should think about starting to eat peanut butter. And it obviously it's grown in popularity.
This was in the, you said the 20s?
20s. 20s, yeah.
Did
I think
they
by
not
27 they
send
started.
like a lot? You don't hear about like peanut butter being shipped to the troops during World War II or anything.
It's not well, it's not it was never a part of the rationed foods.
I wonder why not. You
There was
know?
never a ration on peanut butter during World
Hmm.
War II.
Interesting.
So it does become a protein source for a lot of people. But that's
Hmm.
also why the Reese's peanut butter cup can keep going.
Oh, right. Okay, that makes sense because they just kind of, I mean, like the government, I guess, was like, yeah, peanut butter.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe they couldn't figure out the best way to ship it, but yeah, in the 20s they had figured out how to make it shelf stable.
Interesting.
So I don't know why they
So I
didn't.
figured that'd be an easy one to send to troops, right? Like
Yeah. And like, yeah, there's a lot of
they
calories
send
and
much more difficult things. So
yeah, I don't know. And maybe they did send it. I'm just not sure.
yeah,
But there was never like a ration on it.
interesting.
Peanuts for everyone.
Yeah, I guess there's just an abundance of peanuts. So
I don't know. Yeah. That's a question mark on it for us for later.
right, tune into our peanut butter episode, which we will inevitably have.
The other ones that I wrote about, Milky Way bars. So this
Hmm.
guy, so Frank Mars is the inventor of Milky Way. He was just on a roll for a couple of years because he starts throwing crap together to see what works and what doesn't. He invents the Milky Way bar in 1923.
Hmm.
He's got the Snickers bar, which he named after his favorite horse in
Ha.
1930. 1932, he makes the Three Musketeer bar. And then during, again, World War II, he is nervous about the cocoa shortage. So he
Hmm.
pairs up with a Hershey executive. His name's Bruce Murray. And the two of them together are the M&M for the
Oh,
M&Ms.
Mars and Murray. How about that?
Mars and Murray are the M&Ms, yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Kit Kats is actually English, starts in England, 1935. It's named after a literary and political group called the Kit Kat CAT Club. Kit
Hmm.
Kat Club.
Never would have
Candy
guessed.
corn. Probably the most controversial thing we'll talk about today, candy
I
corn.
think so. Yeah.
Do you
That's
like
pretty
candy
good for
corn?
us if candy corn is the most controversial we're
No.
getting. No. Like I can have one and be like, well, that was good. I
I
hit,
immediately regret it. Yeah.
hit my quota for the year on candy corn.
It's originally made in 1880s. Candy back then um, is like mellow cream, so like marshmallow material, and they would mold them into like corn, pumpkins, chestnuts, turnips. Um, Farmers made up about like 50% of the workforce, so companies made agricultural themed candies for
That
kids in the
tracks.
country.
Hmm.
And so through oral histories, it's believed that George Renninger from Philadelphia was the first to sell a multicolored treat made out of sugar and corn syrup.
Mm. Well, being ingenuitive with what he's got, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm sure it was, unique having like
Yeah.
three colors of one thing. You're like,
I mean,
whoa.
heck, they still sell how much every Halloween? So
Oh my gosh, too much.
it was relegated to one holiday. It's like the
Yeah.
peeps of Halloween. But
So corn as we know it was actually like chicken feed. Sorry,
mm,
corn as they knew it was chicken feed. It's not like today where people would eat it.
they were
People
just
don't start eating corn until like World War One.
mm,
Um, and that's when like genetically like mutating it to make it like a sweeter variety.
right, right, right.
World War One is like, yeah, it's chicken feed. So um they had so this camp the company that starts it's called Golet's Candy Company has like a rooster as its motto and it says King of the Candy Corn.
Huh. I was gonna say,
This
so yeah,
one,
so they're selling candy chicken feed essentially.
yeah, that's
That's
what they're selling, chicken
huh.
feed, yeah.
Interesting.
And it's this company ends up becoming Jelly Belly.
Oh,
Yeah. And
that
then
tracks.
1950s, it's like, hey, kids want candy. So start advertising it as a Halloween candy in the 50s, like everybody, like everything else, like we were talking about.
Right.
That's it, and that's all. That's all I wrote for that stuff.
I mean, I think that's pretty interesting, just seeing
Yeah,
how it went from nothing, well, just leaving part of your harvest out on the front porch to appease evil spirits,
yeah.
to a Catholic holiday to pray for the dead,
Mm,
to where you would get a little baked cake, to traditional Halloween as we know it, where it became this whole enterprise. I guess it's like, seeing kind of capitalism at work there, where they saw a need
yeah,
or a want and filled it as
yeah.
best they
Want, yeah,
could.
yeah,
And I mean, like, th that is such an interesting thing when you read and like kind of dive into the like 50s housewife and
hmm,
how things were advertised and became like a
right.
big deal there. Like we were talking about, like just drugs and medicine and all that kind of stuff like
Yep.
back. I think we talked about it in one of our first episodes when we talked
Yeah.
about avocados
Hmm.
and the drug cartels and stuff like that. And then even from that same time period came like, hey, here's individually wrapped candies for Halloween.
Yeah.
Where you're
It's a
yeah,
really pivotal time, if you're thinking about what we do today, how we live, like
yeah.
there's a lot that happens right after World War II. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really it's cool because well, I don't know, cool, but like World War II was such a world-changing event in so many
Hmm.
ways, and then just how you reacted to that and came
Hmm.
out of it, and like the different, like the rationing and the subsidies and
Hmm.
just everything. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
But yeah, that's Halloween, and that's the kind of the history of trick-or-treating and how we got the candies that we got today, and
I like the line
just
that you have for the closing. Every Kit Kat has an ancestor in a little round cake baked for the souls of the dead.
yeah, look at that. Every Kit Kat. Well, maybe not every Kit Kat, because I did work for M&M Mars a long time ago,
Mm,
and
maybe say every mochi.
Japanese have some crazy flavors. Like
Oh
there's
yeah. Oh
squid
yeah.
Kit
I've seen
Kat,
some of that stuff.
mochi Kit
Yeah.
Kat, like
Yeah.
stuff where
Oh,
you're
the
like,
mochi kit. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if like Celtic people saw this, it'd be like, these are the evil spirits we're trying to ward off.
You're
Like,
putting them away.
this is not what we want. I don't want squid with my chocolate. Thank you kindly. I was given one. I didn't even look at what it was. It was like a whole like just like an assortment of Japanese Kit Kats. And
Hmm.
I ate one without looking at it. And it was the like one of the hottest things I've ever eaten.
Oh
And I
no.
was like, that was a Kit Kat. What the hell? My mouth shouldn't be feeling like this.
My bland American taste buds can't do that.
Yeah, I'm like, it's supposed to be a wafer and some chocolate. Why am I hot? No good.
That's
But yeah,
funny
so
though.
there's I mean, it's cool too because the Samhain wasn't the only like festival or holiday where food is kind of used as a bridge between the living
Yeah.
and the dead, right? Like there's obviously people are more familiar with Dia de los Muertos, where
Hmm.
they make what is it called? Pan de Muerto in
Hmm.
Mexico, which is bread of the dead, essentially,
Yeah. So very similar, right? Similar
dead
concept.
bread. Um, and yeah, where like I think Dia de los Muertos is one of the like the coolest holidays. I love
Hmm.
the way they celebrate it. I like how
Yeah.
the just like cultural influence it has. It's so cool. And then I saw that there was another in China called the Hungry Ghost Festival, which I didn't look too much into, but I just thought it was a funny name for a
It's
for a
like some of
holiday.
the other things that we've seen where it's like, this sounds good, American.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah,
what
we're
are they
like,
doing
hey, this
over
is
there?
interesting.
Oh, they're feeding their ghosts. Hungry
We'll
Ghost
take that.
Festival.
But yeah, so we a lot of the you can still find recipes for soul cakes today. You're flavored with nutmeg, cinnamon, currants, all these autumn associated flavors, essentially
Yeah.
like pumpkin spice, like we talked about. And it went from soul to sugar, and that's where we are today. And I mean, Halloween is just such a cultural event,
Yeah.
like spooky season, right? There's horror movies, there's
Yeah.
trick or treating, there's
And people
just everything that
decorate. Yeah.
everything people love about Halloween. And I always
Yeah.
think it's funny that the swap from Halloween to like Christmas is almost instant.
It's
And it's
already
just
happened.
like, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like, whew, okay, I need to like completely rethink, like recondition my brain. Because we were just like scary movies. No, now it's a love story in a
A
Hallmark
Hallmark.
town in Colorado. It's like,
Oh, in
wait,
New
what?
Hampshire. You live in
Yeah,
it.
there
What are
you
you
go.
talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah. Across the border in Vermont, it's all romance and holidays.
There was like a video. Some lady's like, I've been here for like 3 days. I haven't run into somebody from high school. Just, did I forget to like check in with the town busybody?
There was a post I saw a little bit ago that was like every Hallmark like bad guy boyfriend is like, I can't just drop everything and come to the hills with you, babe. I'm working on this multi-million-dollar deal that'll have us set for life.
Yeah.
And the hunk is just her high school boyfriend who's around when she shows up in town.
Works at the Christmas tree
Yeah,
farm.
yeah. It's like,
The struggling
what are you
Christmas tree
doing,
farm.
Rebecca? Like, oh man. But yeah, we're meandering now. But
Yep.
that's Halloween. That's trick or
Cool.
treating. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We had fun looking into it, and we always have a good time looking into food
Yeah.
and figuring out how it ties back to World War II. So,
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yep.
and I mean, we went a little further back. We went to the 1880s with candy corn. Candy chicken feed. Hey, babe.
Yeah.
Nice.
What do you mean? You went to like the 6th century with like so and
Well, yeah, but I mean, we were
Owen.
talking about candy. They didn't have candy back then.
Yeah. Too bad. Imagine if they
Soul
did.
cakes.
Mm.
The poor children are getting fat on Halloween because we're giving them sugar and corn syrup.
They run around like crazy. It's insane. It's part of the
They're
spirit.
possessed by the evil
Yeah,
spirits.
exactly. You must
We
detox
get
until
a
next
mixture
year.
of dentists and exorcists. the,
Yeah, at the
the
same
dentist
time.
/ exorcist shop. All right, that's it for
Makes
us.
sense.
Thanks so much for listening. Yeah, as always, you can write to us at farmsandfrontlines@gmail.com. Feel free to please rate and review us wherever you listen to your podcast. We really appreciate it.
There you go. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye bye, and happy Halloween.
Oh yeah, happy Halloween.